Utah's a quiet place to live. Our state rarely makes the news for anything too out of the ordinary, but it does happen. From strange natural disasters to questionable political decisions, true crime stories, UFOs, dead sheep, and government cover-ups, here are 10 examples of the most bizarre things that have happened here in the Beehive State. Hey everyone, it's Mark Huntington with the Huntington Group. We're your source for local Utah trends and economic news all along the Wasatch Front. If it has to do with life in Utah, we have it covered. And in this video, we're going to get right into some of the most bizarre things that have happened right here in Utah. Number 10, floods bury the town of Thistle. If you've lived in Utah for a while, you're probably familiar with the famous floods of 1983, but you might not realize that the costliest landslide in U.S. history came as a result of this flooding. The Utah ghost town of Thistle holds this infamous designation. The landslide was nearly 1,000 feet wide, 200 feet thick, and over a mile long. It flooded two major highways and stopped rail service from Denver all the way to Salt Lake. It was also Utah's first presidential disaster declaration. Number 9. In 1983, Salt Lake City's State Street was turned into a river. In 1983, those same floods caused Salt Lake City's busiest street, State Street, to be transformed into a temporary river. As the floodwaters surged through downtown Salt Lake City, city officials took drastic measures to prevent further damage. They decided to sandbag and divert the water, turning it onto State Street, making the street into a makeshift river, complete with temporary bridges to get across. The incident was a major event in Salt Lake or in Utah's history, and then Governor Scott Matheson was quoted as saying, "This is a hell of a way to run a desert." Number 8. On August 11th, 1999, one of the most unforgettable instances of bizarre weather in Utah was the tornado that ripped through downtown Salt Lake City. No one expected a tornado to sweep through an area surrounded by mountains, but on that morning, the conditions were just right. The F2 tornado lasted for 10 minutes. It injured 80 people and unfortunately killed 1. It caused $170 million in damage. And it awakened the state of Utah to the fact that tornadoes do indeed happen here in Utah. Number 7. The town of Laverton once passed an ordinance to ban the United Nations. In a move that sparked a national debate about the role of local government in international affairs, the town of Laverton, Utah passed an ordinance that demanded every citizen who supported the United Nations to come forward and be publicly identified. The ordinance that they had passed had made their town of Laverton a United Nations free zone. Of course, this raised concerns among civil rights advocates about the violation of free speech, and eventually the council agreed to amend the ordinance to ensure that it did not infringe upon the freedom of speech rights of its residents. Number 6, the enigma of the Great Salt Lake's purple waters. The Great Salt Lake is a natural wonder known for its high salt concentration, but in the late 1980s, its north arm turned a mysterious deep purple, an unusual phenomenon caused by a unique bacteria called halobacteria. The bacteria thrive in extreme salinity and under certain conditions multiply rapidly, which can cause a bizarre, vibrant purple color to the water. Number 5. In March of 1968, 6,000 sheep died suddenly and mysteriously. Something truly bizarre happened in Skull Valley in 1968, when 6,000 sheep grazing in the open range died suddenly and mysteriously. The incident, known as the Dugway Sheep Incident of 1968, quickly gained national attention. Just days before, the U.S. Army had conducted open-air tests of a nerve agent in the area. The Army initially denied any involvement or responsibility for the tragedy, which only fueled public outrage and led to further investigations, eventually revealing a clear relationship between the government's testing and the deaths of the sheep. A local rancher was quoted as saying it was like a movie version of death and destruction. You know, like after the bomb goes off. Sheep laying all over, all of them down, patches of white as far as you could see. Number 4, 2 men from Beryl were charged after drilling a hole in a woman's head. In January 2000, a shocking incident occurred in Beryl, Utah, when 2 men were charged with practicing medicine without a license. The incident involved the drilling of a hole in a woman's head as a part of a medical practice called trepanation. The 2 men were not licensed medical practitioners, but they claimed to be performing this procedure as part of their research into the alleged benefits of trepanation. They were actually accompanied by producers from the television show 2020 who were reportedly researching a story on the subject. The case ultimately resulted in charges being filed for practicing medicine without a license. Number 3, the salamander letter forgery. In the 1980s, a series of letters surfaced claiming to be written by Martin Harris, who was a prominent figure in the early history of the Mormon Church. Now, the salamander letter contained controversial information about the founding of the LDS Church. However, it was later revealed that the letters were a forgery created by a man named Mark Hoffman, who was an antique documents dealer. The intrigue surrounding the salamander letters took a dark and tragic turn in 1985. While trying to deflect increasing suspicion about his activities, Hoffman killed 2 people and injured 1 other using homemade pipe bombs. Hoffman's plots began to unravel after police investigation, and it was eventually revealed that he was a master forger who had deceived not only the LDS Church, but many document experts as well. The salamander letters and many other historical documents he had discovered were all proven to be forgeries. Number 2, the Skinwalker Ranch mystery. One of the most infamous places in Utah is Skinwalker Ranch. The Skinwalker Ranch, also known as Sherman Ranch or UFO Ranch, is a 480-acre property located in Uinta County, Utah. The ranch first gained notoriety in the mid-1990s when a family named the Shermans who bought the ranch reported a series of bizarre incidents. They claimed that their cattle were being mysteriously mutilated with precise cuts that did not seem like the work of predators. Along with this, they also reported the disappearance of some of their livestock. The family also recounted a series of unsettling paranormal experiences. They reported seeing strange lights and objects in the sky, spotting creatures that didn't match any known animal species, and experiencing instances of poltergeist activity, such as objects moving on their own or disappearing. As of September 2021, the Skinwalker Ranch is owned by Brandon Fugel, a real estate mogul and tech investor. Fugel and his team continue to study the ranch, exploring the theories that range from paranormal activities, extra-dimensional phenomenon, and top-secret government projects. Number 1, the $500,000 airline hijacker. Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. was a former Brigham Young University student living in Utah who also served in the Vietnam War as a helicopter pilot and was a recreational skydiver. On April 7, 1972, McCoy boarded United Airlines Flight 855 on a plane that was the same model used by D.B. Cooper in his infamous hijacking attempt only 4 months earlier. Using a note claiming that he had a bomb in his briefcase, McCoy hijacked the plane and demanded $500,000 in ransom, along with 4 parachutes. After the plane landed in San Francisco and the ransom was paid, he ordered the plane to take off again and then parachuted out over Provo City, Utah. Unlike D.B. Cooper, however, Mr. McCoy did not manage to evade capture. His case was cracked when a friend tipped off the police, believing that McCoy's crime mirrored Cooper's hijacking a little too closely. McCoy was captured 2 days after the hijacking with most of the ransom money still in his possession. He was sentenced to 45 years in prison, made an escape attempt in 1974, but was tracked down and killed in an engagement with law enforcement. The daring nature of McCoy's crime and its similarities with the D.B. Cooper case have led some to speculate that McCoy and Cooper were one and the same person. What do you think? Do you agree with my list of the most bizarre events that have happened in Utah? If I missed something, let me know down in the comments. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If so, please hit the like button to help us promote our channel. And don't forget to subscribe and set alerts for new videos. And if you're looking into buying or selling real estate here in Utah, my contact information is below.